Good morning, and welcome to our virtual Memorial Day ceremony, broadcast live from City Hall, Asheville, North Carolina. We're truly honored today to have you with us this Memorial Day. My name is Alan Percow. I'm the chair of Buncombe County Veterans Council, one of the sponsors of today's ceremony, along with the city of Asheville. Today's ceremony is about remembering and honoring every single man and woman who has died for our freedoms. The meaning of Memorial Day is about sacrifice and service. Freedom is not free. The national anthem will be sung by Rick Ledford, United States Marine Corps, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Steve Henderson, United States Marine Corps, Vietnam.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched, we're so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Esther Manheimer, Mayor of the City of Asheville, followed by Brownie Newman, Buncombe County Commissioners Chairman, will be saying some introductory remarks.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the City of Asheville and Asheville City Council, I'd like to welcome you to this Memorial Day ceremony. I'd like to thank Alan Perkal and members of the Mayor's Committee for Veterans Affairs for planning today's event and inviting me to speak. A special thank you to Rick Ledford and Steve Henderson for leading our national anthem and our Pledge of Allegiance. I would also like to welcome members of the United States military veterans, as well as their families and loved ones who are here with us today and watching from home. Let me take this moment to thank and honor the men and women on active duty in the reserves and in the National Guard who continue to bravely and tirelessly serve our country. We can never really do enough to fully thank you for your sacrifice on our behalf, but we can try, so thank you. Memorial Day serves as a time each year to express our gratitude to those who have died for our country, to thank our veterans and those who are still serving. As you gather to celebrate with friends and family during this beautiful weekend, thank you for taking time to honor those who paid the ultimate price for our freedom and those who continue to fight on the front lines. Before I turn it over to County Commission Chairman Brownie Newman, I'd also like to highlight a few folks participating in today's event. First, our presenter, Dr. Angela Williams, is the acting director of the Charles George VA Medical Center. Our keynote speaker today is Asheville attorney John Mason. Mr. Mason served his country in Vietnam from 1968 to 69 as an infantry first lieutenant with the United States Marine Corps. Thank you for your service, Mr. Mason. Finally, I'd like to thank brothers and sisters like these for offering their stories today during our ceremony. Brothers and sisters like these provides healing in our community through the arts and creative writing to veterans of all conflicts. Today is our day to honor our men and women who have made the supreme sacrifice protecting our nation and the privilege of freedom that we all hold so dear. Asheville remains dedicated to supporting the heroes in our community and across the United States. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Brownie Newman. I serve as chairman of the Buncombe County Commission. And on behalf of the Buncombe County Commission, I want to thank everyone who has come together today to help us to honor those who have served and sacrificed for our country, defending our freedoms in foreign conflicts throughout the decades and over the centuries. I want to especially thank all the members of the Buncombe County staff who work to provide critical services to our veterans in our community in Buncombe County. Today we honor the sacrifices of the men and women from Buncombe County and their families who have provided the ultimate sacrifice defending our country and our freedoms. I want to particularly recognize today my grandfather, First Lieutenant Burl Franklin Newman, who served our country in the armed services, who lost his life while flying a B-17 over Germany in 1943. Service members like my grandfather helped to liberate the people of Europe from the dictatorship and Nazi regimes that had taken over that continent and had threatened the freedoms of people throughout the world. We honor the sacrifices of people like my grandfather and all of the family members and individuals from Asheville and Buncombe County who have sacrificed to preserve our freedoms and to usher in greater freedom for people throughout the world. Thank you all for being here today, and thank you all for taking time to remember those who have served our country.
Thank you, Mayor Manheimer and Commissioner Newman. Our first presenter will be Dr. Angela Williams, Acting Director, Charles George VA Medical Center.
Thank you, Alan. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for participating in this year's virtual Memorial Day ceremony. I appreciate the opportunity to join our leaders, local veterans groups, and other members of the community in paying our respects to our nation's heroes. We observe Memorial Day on the final Monday in May each year. It's a day filled with deep respect and gratitude. It's a day when we can bear witness, bringing honor and meaning to a tradition of tribute for our departed heroes, the bold men and women who answered the call of duty and served in harm's way for the sake of this great nation. Today, at the VA, we also stop and reflect on President Lincoln's charge to care for those who have borne the battle and for their families and survivors. It's a charge we don't take lightly, and it's enhanced by the support and the patriotism of our surrounding communities. Look around. It's easy to see that the true meaning of Memorial Day has not dwindled in Western North Carolina. I have the privilege this morning to put out flags along the streets, and it was just wonderful to be a part of your community. The flags that are lining the streets of the city of Asheville and other surrounding towns, I can assure you firsthand, with that support we receive daily, the true meaning of Memorial Day isn't lost on our surrounding communities. If you get the chance, just visit the West Carolina State Veterans Cemetery in Black Mountain. It's a beautiful resting place in our own backyard. Never take the cemetery for granted, nor the people who care for it. Memorial Day is a great opportunity for us to do more than take off a day and have a cookout. We can do more than just pause or bow our head for a brief moment. This is a chance for us to do something that really matters. Attend ceremonies like this one. Place flags on the graves of veterans at local cemeteries. offer to help a veteran or their family. Yes, Memorial Day is more than just another holiday. It's a chance to do something that truly makes a difference. And maybe most importantly, it's a chance to thank a veteran for their service. Without a doubt, one of the most important things we can do is teach our children the true meaning of Memorial Day. That way, we will ensure American hearts continue to truly understand and remember, freedom is not free. Since our nation's beginning, more than 1 million men and women have died. That's an overwhelming number when you think about it. So many people willing to pay the ultimate price for our country's principles of freedom and for generations of future Americans they would never meet. People like Army Private First Class George, from whom the VA Medical Center in Asheville is named. Born in neighboring Cherokee, North Carolina, Private First Class George was a member of the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. He was only 20 years old when he gave his life to protect his fellow soldiers during the Korean War. According to the Medal of Honor citation, which was awarded to him posthumously, the young private was a member of a raiding party committed to engage in the enemy and capture the prisoner for interrogation. Forging up the rugged slope of the Key terrain, the group was subjected to intense mortar and machine gun fire and suffered several casualties. Throughout the advance, he fought valiantly, and upon reaching the crest of the hill, leaped trenches, engaged with the enemy in hand-to-hand combat. When friendly troops were ordered to move back upon completion of the assignment, he and 2 comrades remained to cover the withdrawal. While in the process of leaving the trenches, a hostile soldier hurled a grenade into the mist. Private First Class George shouted a warning to one comrade, pushed the other soldier out of danger, and with full knowledge of the consequences, unhesitantly threw himself upon the grenade, absorbing the full blast of the explosion. Although seriously wounded in the display of valor, he refrained from any outcry which would divulge the position of his companions. The 2 soldiers evacuated him to the aid station, and shortly thereafter he succumbed to his wounds. No, service members like Private First Class George aren't just statistics. They're real men and women with families who live in communities just like ours. Today and every day at the Charles George VA, we salute our fallen by honoring the sacrifices of those who come home. We provide them with care and the benefits they deserve and so rightly earned. We can never fully repay the debt of gratitude owed to our servicemen and women, veterans and their families, but we can honor and be responsible for consistent care and commitment. They deserve no less. The Western North Carolina VA healthcare system and other VA healthcare facilities across the country honor our fallen by ensuring we give the best in service to current and future generations of veterans. Even though the current pandemic has caused us to change some of the ways we provide our care to our veterans, our resolve to ensure they receive the quality care they earned and deserve have never been stronger. We pay tribute to the courageous men and women who stepped up when their country called. We honor those who have made it possible for us to be here today. And because of their dedication and sacrifice, we can only reflect with pride on America's past, present, and the promise of the future. No, we will never forget. We will not forget their sacrifice, and we will forever hold their memory close to our hearts. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams, for your inspiring speech. We are blessed today to have as our keynote speaker John Mason, First Lieutenant, United States Marine Corps, Vietnam. John truly embodies the meaning of Semper Fidelis, always faithful, honor, duty, and country. He served in Vietnam 1968 to 69. He was awarded the Bronze Star Medal with V device, Valor, and 2 Purple Hearts. After the military, John went on to have a long career as a lawyer in the Asheville area. He also has been involved in civic causes, Friends of the Great Smoky Mountains, and a major contributor to the inception of the Veterans Treatment Court in Buncombe County. John was also instrumental in the formation of North Carolina Veterans Writing Allowance Foundation, a 501c3. Ladies and gentlemen, John Mason.
Thank you, Alan. Mayor Meinheimer, Chairman Newman, Dr. Williams, Judge Pope, Judge Cathy, fellow speakers, honored guests, veterans, and all of you in attendance virtually. Thank you for affording me the high privilege of speaking on this day of remembrance. I am particularly grateful to Stephen Henderson and Ron Toller and Alan Perkle and the Veterans Writing Alliance for inviting me. The Alliance itself is an outgrowth of a unique therapy created by Dr. Bruce Kelly at Charles George VA. The men and women in this alliance took up writing as a means to exorcise the images of trauma suffered from combat and military service. Several of these special women and men will read today. I suggest you listen to them closely. You will learn something about service and sacrifice, something timeless and special. Today is Memorial Day, a day of remembrance and celebration of service, a day of bittersweet memories, a day to appreciate veterans of our military services and to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice to this nation. It is often a day of fireworks and military honors, a day when the flag of these United States is raised at dawn to full staff and then lowered to half staff, where it stays until noon, and then it is raised briskly again to full staff until sunset in honor of those to whom this day is dedicated. At 3 o'clock this afternoon, for a minute, for a brief 60 seconds, there will be a moment of silence to remember and honor those who died in military uniform. Church bells will ring, sirens blare, train whistles will sound, ball games will stop for a moment, and the soulful notes of taps will echo across this nation. It is a time to remember the soldiers and sailors and Marines and airmen and their ultimate sacrifice. I do not know, I confess, how to properly honor those remembered today and to provide solace to their families and friends and to those who serve with them. Death is neither just nor equitable. And while it beckons to all of us, in many instances for those in the service, it is random and incomprehensible. Why was I spared and he was not? But the question remains, how does one honor those remembered today? My friend, at least he was my friend until I sent him a redraft of my speech, Alan Perkle suggested that I read a story that speaks of the past and of faith and duty and remembrance of those who served, so that hopefully you may gain some insight into their sacrifice, into their lives of service. As Alan said, I was in Westpac as a Marine Rifle platoon commander in Vietnam. I was there from October of 1968 until I was medevaced in June '69. '68 and '69 were the bloodiest, most costly period measured in lives spent during that war. I commanded 3rd Platoon with Mike Company, Company M, 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines. And during my time there, 42 Marines and sailors lost their lives. I know and remember all of these lives today, as well as the lives of the nearly 1.4 million men and women who have died in service to this country since the American Revolution. I also remember those who died after service from the silent wounds of war, those emotional and spiritual and moral wounds that shattered lives. We call some of these PTSD, TBI, Agent Orange poisoning, and suicide. I recognize these men and women also today. I will do justice, I hope, to at least some of those with whom I served. I need to do a quick aside. When I wrote this piece, I included cuss words. I have told everybody that I learned to cuss before I joined the Marine Corps. But the Marine Corps improved my ability to cuss a substantial amount. If you want the real words, then you will have to read my transcript, because I'm cleaning it up a bit for this presentation. It had been 2 days since a squad from Duncan Slay's 2nd Platoon had been shot to pieces in Dodge City. Upon hearing of his squad's distress, Duncan assembled his remaining 2 squads plus guns as reaction force for those under fire. When he got there, his entire platoon was pinned down under heavy fire from automatic weapons and small arms. The artillery forward observer was hit, 2 Marines KIA, another 6 wounded, half of those critically. He could not contact his point fire team. He called a medevac, but the LZ was too hot to land. The enemy had at least one .51 caliber machine gun in position and bracketed Duncan's position. A second medevac was also aborted. 2nd Platoon was isolated at the top of a horseshoe bend in a blue line, a small tributary to the Songlatho River, 2 clicks southeast of Hill 55, then headquarters for 7th Marines. And there were other problems. 2nd was on the gun target line. This meant it was between the battery on Hill 55 and the enemy. A short round would place fire directly on Duncan's position. 2nd was also in a danger close position within no more than 20 meters from the enemy. The order of battle and tactics of the situation would not risk friendly casualties from artillery or air support unless Duncan and his platoon were in danger of being overrun. And so far, the enemy had not tried to assault. 3rd Platoon, which I commanded, was the reaction force for 2nd. Captain P.K. Van Ripper, our company commander, came with us. When we reached 2nd's position, it was nearly 8 p.m., 2000 hours that evening. There were wounded Marines in a small open area near a tree line just west of the river. We relocated the LZ in a small open area behind the tree line. There was a small copse of trees which protected us from the enemy. As the medevac helicopter was called in and approached, the enemy unleashed hell. RPGs, the 51. Somehow the helicopter landed. Emergency medevacs and non-ambulatory wounded were hurried above the helicopter. It rose as green tracer rounds from the 51s pierced its fuselage. It bellowed smoke, dropped heavily to starboard, righted itself, and was away to Hill 55. Later, we learned that it crashed on the hill. The co-pilot was wounded. The artillery observer, wounded in the initial firefight, was hit a second time on the medevac. Marines do not withdraw from combat. But we were short on ammunition, faced an unknown and large unit of the enemy, had half a dozen wounded who needed medical attention, were on the gun target line and danger close. We were ordered back to Hill 55. I have never been so scared in my life. It was remarkable just to reach 2nd Platoon's position in the dark and under fire. It was a miracle to get the medevac in, and even more of a miracle that that medevac was able to fly off and land on Hill 55. We had Marines pinned down in an open area under automatic weapons fire. One of 3rd Platoon's, one of my kids, Eugene Tate from Atlanta, a squad leader, crawled into the open area shouting, "Do the low crawl, just like ITR, just like we did in training. Hug the ground, move slow, don't get up." Nearly an entire squad of Marines listened to Tate and crawled to safety. As we started back to Hill 55, 3rd was on the left flank, what was left of 2nd and the CP on the right. To the south of us was a bad area we called Arizona Territory. To the east, where we were, was Dodge City, another bad area. We carried the wounded and their gear and weapons, and we were under fire. As we approached the red line, the road that led to Hill 55, another 51 opened up on us, this time from Arizona. We got back. It was then after midnight. Duncan Slay's cot was next to mine in the company CP. We spoke of the battle. The prior afternoon, his squad on patrol had fired at a suspected NVA who fell. As the squad approached, the enemy fired, ambushing the squad and part of the 2nd as it got there. This was a tactic often used by the NVA and VC. Duncan was wounded in his canteen. He held it up and shook the shrapnel in it. "My canteen's hit, John," he laughed. We spoke of luck, the randomness of battle, and of divine intervention. We agreed to recommend Eugene Tate for a Bronze Star, and after checking our platoons, we went to sleep. At 0300 the following morning, we were awake. The company was going back into Dodge to sweep the area where we fought the previous night. Artillery was to prep the area at 0600. At 0500, we would kick off so that we would be in position right after the artillery barrage ended. We moved forward. Terry Williams' platoon on the left, my platoon on the right. The CP and what was left of 2nd in the middle in reserve. We were covering each other's flank. We were moving towards the blue line. I was scared, senseless, trying not to show it. I kept thinking, why am I doing this? How did I volunteer to do this? I tried to pray. I couldn't remember the Lord's Prayer except, "Hallowed be thy name," and debts rather than trespasses, a Presbyterian in combat. That's what I was. So much for the glory of combat, I thought. Keep one foot moving in front of the other, Mason. Focus on where you are. Clear your mind. Concentrate on the objective. No, concentrate on simple objectives, one by one by one. Keep cool. Spread out, Marines, spread out. Keep cool. I think all of us knew exactly what was likely to happen and wished against it. We saw a mist rising from the river about 100 meters ahead, then 70, then 50, then 30. Boom! Pop, 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 pop. AKs opened up. Swish, boom. RPGs exploded behind us. Corpsman up, I'm hit. Get down, corpsman up. Return fire, move through. Bam, crack, crack, crack. The fog of war, the chaos of combat. Where's that damn artillery support? Where's the support, Lieutenant? Stay down. Skipper called another fire mission. Somehow the one at 0600 had been canceled. We had 05 support, even though part of the company was on the gun target line. Bam, bam, bam. Fire for effect. Bam, 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 bam. Silence for a few moments. Then small arms again. Later, we learned my company assaulted a reinforced NVA battalion. Then we called for air support. Pop a green smoke was the order to each platoon. Pop, swish, pop, swish, pop. Fire in the hole, swish, pop, pop a green cluster, pop. Damn it, yell fire in the hole before you pop that. A pair of F-100 jets appeared high above the horizon to the north, level parallel to our lines, and dropped napalm within 100, maybe 50, maybe even closer than that, yards from our position. Heat waves from the nape washed over us again and again and again and again. Then quiet. Word came to get the wounded back to the CP. Stoop low. Hold on. Stay low. The wounded were moved to a cleared area behind the CP. 2 medevac helicopters appeared behind us. The first landed, was loaded, and as it began to lift off, a barrage of RPGs flew overhead. Bam, bam! The NVA 51 opened up again. The second medevac was waved off. Corpsman up! Need a corpsman! CP needs a corpsman up! Doc Rep, the corpsman in the 3rd platoon moved back to the CP carefully, quickly, and rendered aid. Another 5 minutes, another airstrike, another firefight, another medevac. We fought there all day. It was late afternoon by then, maybe 16:30, 4:30, maybe 5 p.m. Platoon commanders were called to the CP. Terry Williamson, who commanded 3rd, and I met with Captain Van Riper. Bill Hardwick, the artillery FO, was there. Gunny Sergeant Gregory was there. John Valentine, serving as executive officer. John was the officer I replaced as commander of the 3rd platoon the month before. John had been wounded and medevaced. He had 25 holes the size of quarters in his legs. Duncan Slay had been killed. Both he and Valentine were helping casualties with the first medevac. Both had been hit by RPGs. Corporal Timmons, the air liaison NCO, had been killed. Terry's platoon sergeant had been killed. His point fire team was missing. We would find their bodies the next day. The company dug in for the night. We were reminded to set claymores, double night watch, re-aim fields of fire, have covering fire from machine guns, and give extra ammunition and grenades to our Marines. I was walking with the gunny. I felt hollow inside, numb. He took me to a spot about 20 meters behind the CP. Gunny knelt down beside the second body and opened the poncho at mid-chest. There were 7 ponchos covering dead Marines, Gunny knelt beside the second body and opened the poncho to mid-chest, revealing a small wound, maybe an inch across, on the left side of the breastbone. "This is Lieutenant Slay," he said. "There's not a mark on him except for this." Gunny pointed to another poncho holding Corporal Timmons' remains. His eyes watered. "This is nothing but a hellhole," he said. I nodded. Quiet. I have remembered that scene for 52 and a half years. It was Tuesday, November 5th, 1968. A few hours later in the United States, Richard Nixon was elected president of this country on a platform that he had a secret plan to end the war in Vietnam. He did not. The following day, after we reached our objective and the NVA had been killed or fled or taken to ground, news services from across the U.S. and some around the world would be ferried out to Dodge City, to the battlefield where we fought. Some of us would be asked how the election went, what we thought about a new president. Some of us were asked, did we know that Dodge City was the only major battle in Vietnam during Election Day? What difference did any of that make to those in that battle? I looked at Gunny Gregory. We nodded to each other. We shook our heads at death, at loss, at courage, at lives ended. I looked at the boots of the 7 Marines in ponchos, boots not quite covered by the ponchos. The boot laces were tied, some with neat bows tied by the owner that very morning. 1 or 2 had dog tags tied into the laces, tags to identify a foot or a leg if blown off by a booby trap. That was some of our standard procedure in Vietnam. And there was 1 pair of boots that had a wristwatch without the watch band tied into the laces near the toe. The watch was still ticking, still wound and working, still counting seconds, now passing after its owner's death. As I walked back to my platoon, I met another lieutenant, a platoon commander from Kilo Company, whom I had met a couple of weeks before. I don't remember his name. Duncan, he and I had dinner at the Hill 37 mess hall then and spent the night together in a hooch used by lieutenants going in and out of the bush. He asked, "John, have you seen Duncan?" I could not answer. My company, 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines, took 50 casualties during that 3-day battle, 38 wounded and 12 KIA. I remember them today. I remember them every day that I live. If you ever wondered what courage is, if you ever consider the meaning of dedication to duty, of selflessness, of sacrifice, or of service, if you ever pause to consider the purpose of Memorial Day, then please remember this story. And then look into the face of a Marine or a soldier or a sailor or an airman or a Coast Guardsman remember this day. Good luck and God bless all of you. And to the dead remembered today, and to the veterans standing this day, thank you for your service.
Our hearts are touched by John Mason's story from Vietnam. Welcome home, John Mason. There were 3 readings from the Brothers and Sisters Like These veteran writing group. Midge Lawrence, wife of Tom Lawrence, who passed away, United States Army, Vietnam. Gabriel Garcia, U.S. Army, Afghanistan. And Ted Minnick, U.S. Army, Vietnam. This group writes to heal the wounds of war. Followed by that will be the playing of taps by Rick Ledford, which will then conclude our ceremony. We want to thank you for attending and have a safe Memorial Day, especially those who are serving our country in harm's way. Also, as John mentioned, let's do what we can to help put Memorial back into Memorial Day. Please pause at 3 p.m. for a moment of silence to remember and honor those who have died in service to our country. American Legion Post 70 Asheville will be honoring African American veterans buried at Violet Hill Cemetery in Asheville with a plaque dedicating ceremony, which will honor the 254 veterans that are buried there at 2 p.m. today. And now, readings from the Brothers and Sisters Like These.
Today, we honor our military men and women who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country and our freedoms. My name is Midge Lawrence. My husband Tom was a Vietnam vet and was in Vietnam 1967-68. These were the 2 deadliest years of that war. Casualties of U.S. troops in 1967 were 11,363, and in 1968, they were 16,899. Staggering figures. He was in the Army with the 25th Infantry and part of Task Force 35 during Tet Offensive at Tan Son Nhut Air Force Base. Sadly, he passed away from pulmonary problems as well as other things in March of 2019. No, he didn't die in the war. He died from the war. He suffered greatly with bits and pieces of horrific dreams, PTSD, lack of memory regarding those dreams. He was frustrated because he could not put 2 and 2 together. Later, he was diagnosed with situational amnesia. It had to do with Tet and what they went through. This was where all the bits and pieces came together, and it all became very real once more. Tom's diagnosis of PTSD was about 11 years ago. As time went on and he began to decline from his diseases a bit more, he was becoming less tolerant of everything and everyone, including me, my grandchildren, his friends. He became irritated very easily. He didn't like loud noises of any kind, as it truly made him uncomfortable and very jumpy. We were so blessed to be at the Charles George VA Medical Center in Asheville, one of the best places, in our opinion, where we met Dr. Bruce Kelly. He mentioned to Tom about a writing group for PTSD. Back then it was called Brothers Like These. He had never written anything but confided in me. He really wasn't crazy about the idea. He had never written anything, but he decided to give it a shot. He went to the group and had written his first piece. It was very hard at first, but he started looking forward to going every week, hearing what his brothers had written and shared, reading his stories. His attitude started to change, and he became a lot more tolerant than he had been. I was amazed. He even started to share some things about Vietnam with me that previously he had never done. This writing program was a blessing for all of us. After Tom passed away, I was encouraged to stay with the group and read some of Tom's stories in different places, such as Asheville Community Theater, Flat Rock Playhouse, and also readings in several different libraries. I was encouraged to write some of my own stories, and I can attest to the fact that in doing so and sharing my thoughts with this amazing group has helped me heal tremendously. This group is now called Brothers and Sisters Like These, and now includes younger vets coming back, both men and women. It has meant so much to be able to write down my feelings and thoughts and my stories. Today, I'd like to share with you. America is beautiful. America is great. Our freedoms are protected by the Constitution of the United States. But freedom doesn't come easy. There is always a price to pay. Our brave military men and women protecting our freedoms abroad, many giving the ultimate sacrifice for freedom's cause. This is my home. This is the land I love. This is the land of opportunity where you can rise above. Yes, rise above to improve your self-worth. Make the right choices. You have that freedom from birth. I'm proud to be an American. I fly my flag proudly. I'm free today because of the ultimate sacrifices given by our military. God bless them, and God bless the USA. Thank you. God bless you all.
Memorial Day 2015 was the first Memorial Day for me since coming home safely from Afghanistan. These were my thoughts when I saw thousands of boots on a football field in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Each boot had a small American flag along with a photo ID, name, and a date of the service member where they died overseas. There were over 20 boots from the day I left the United States in December of 2013 to the day I returned home safely in August of 2014. Thousands of names, stories, pain, and tears were on these boots. This poem is dedicated to every soldier, Marine, airman, sailor, and Coast Guardsman that are one of these boots. One of these boots, a flag, a photo, a name, and a date are all on one boot. A memory, a story, a laugh, and a cry are all on one boot. A son, a husband, and a friend are all on one boot. A daughter, a sister, a nurse are all on one boot. A hero, a Medal of Honor recipient, a book, and a movie are all on one boot. A team, a crew, a crash, and a tragedy are all in a group of boots. A son of a command sergeant major, a Samoan family in their traditional attire and art are all displayed on one boot. A husband who transferred bases to be with his wife on Christmas, who was killed 2 days later, is on a boot. A highly decorated airborne ranger with over 30 years of military service and multiple combat deployments is on a boot. A 2-star general who was killed in an insider attack is on a boot. 2 paratroopers killed in an insider attack within days of arriving in country are on a pair of boots. A senior enlisted paratrooper who went home in a flag-draped coffin and placed on the back of a C-17 cargo plane is on a boot. A paratrooper who volunteered for another tour so that his fellow comrades can spend more time with their families is on a boot. Seeing the names, the faces, the dates that were on these boots made me realize that I could have been one of these boots.
I served with the 6th Battalion, 32nd Field Artillery Regiment, 1st Field Forces, 1969-1970, 2 Corps, South Vietnam. Not sure where to begin. I've been back from Vietnam for 50-plus years, but sometimes it seems like just yesterday or last night. I brought back some material things, a captured weapon, my jungle fatigues, my jungle boots, my K-bar knife, pictures I'd taken, things I still have today. But I also brought back some sensory things and perceptions. Even though I was a commander of a heavy artillery unit, battery, I had 2 8-inch howitzers and 2 175 millimeter guns, a quad 50 4 machine gun truck, an M42 Duster, and should be used to loud noises. I jump at unexpected bangs and other loud noises, looking for exits or bunkers. I still don't do crowds or fireworks or screaming kids. My wife knows my triggers and suggests we leave a loud place or a crowded store. I wear hearing aids today because of the artillery, and we jokingly refer to my hearing loss as spousal deafness, or as I like to call it, selective hearing. But I can still hear a helicopter over a mile away. I brought back an appreciation for brotherhood. My unit members, my battle buddies, were my family for a year, and I stay in touch with a few. We're getting smaller in number every year. I learned to depend on them to have my back, and they depended on me to make sound judgments and sound and safe decisions. Today, I sometimes can't remember what I had for lunch or why I entered a room, but I can tell you the quadrant elevation and deflection of my guns for certain targets in our area of operations, or the weight of certain projectiles and powder charges, the serial number of my M14, my M16, the names of my battery officers and senior NCOs. It's strange what we recall. As someone once said, my mind can't forget what my eyes have seen. I brought back a deeper appreciation of spouse and family. I had an idea of what spouse and family goes through when someone deploys. I saw it firsthand when my dad would deploy as an Air Force pilot, and how my mom had to step up and do all the things that he would do if he were home, plus her everyday wifely duties. I was trained to know war, how to survive all of its inherent dangers, and how to lead men in battle. I married my high school sweetheart from South Georgia, who had no experience with the military and was suddenly thrust into a completely different lifestyle and world. When I went to Vietnam, I left a wife and 3-month-old daughter. I knew the difference between incoming and outgoing rounds, what a tripwire sounded like, the ping of a grenade spoon, to be aware of any strange sounds. In other words, to be hypervigilant to things that happened during battle. Imagine spending your days and nights dreading the sound of a car door slamming, the doorbell ringing, or the telephone ringing in the middle of the night, or the sight of uniformed military personnel approaching your door. Imagine doing that for 365 days and nights. My wife and daughters and other military families like them are my heroes. I also brought back a sneaky, hidden disease called Agent Orange chronic lymphocytic leukemia, thanks to Dow Chemicals, Dioxin, and Uncle Sam. I was diagnosed in 2008, 38 years after returning from Vietnam, and thank the good Lord, my disease now remains at stage 0, or as my oncologist calls it, watchful waiting. Our youngest daughter, Sarah, who was born after I returned, was diagnosed with MS in 1997 and passed away in 2016 at the age of 44. I don't hold a grudge against the government for my disease, but I feel guilty that my daughter's disease may have been caused by my exposure to Agent Orange. The VA says there is no connection, but we filed a claim for her, and of course it was denied. As they also say, we came home and death came with us. Lastly, I brought back a deep gratitude to the men and women of our armed services and all their sacrifices, then and now. I will always stand and salute the flag and will always thank God for those who are willing to stand on the wall and guard our country and what it stands for.